So without further ado, the RZA.
Bong,
I
bong,
mean,
bong.
On the strength, it's really a big deal. And we definitely, before we even get into it too deep, I really want to thank, Neil and Verl and the whole staff at CMW, Gary, for making sure that we have the type of entertainment and speakers here that speak to our community that we want. You understand what I'm saying? It's not just something that somebody else said, this is what you're going to listen to. This is what we wanted. You understand what I'm saying? And we were able to make that happen. So we appreciate you coming up.
My pleasure, my
and
pleasure.
being a part of what we're doing here. And we're going to do our thing, right? We're going because we got a little history.
Guaranteed.
So, why don't we start at the beginning, talk about, what made you get in the game and where you started with Tommy Boy and everything. Just give them a little bit of that history and we're going to get into some other stuff.
Well, as far as me getting into the game of hip-hop, I fell in love with hip-hop in like 1977 or something. 8 years old. I just came back from down south, for like 3 years, living a country life. And I'm in Staten Island, New York, and my cousin, the RZA, comes and brings me outside to a block party. And when I get to the block party, the DJ throws on a couple of break beats. You know what I mean? He started rapping like, a dip, dip, dive, so socialize. Clean out your ears and you open your eyes. And yo, I was blown out my mind. I started trying to spit on the floor, you know what I mean? And for that one impact of hip hop, I've been totally fiended out. And year after year, I continued to do everything that hip hop encompassed, which was MCing, breakdancing, writing graffiti. At the age of 11, I sold newspapers to buy my first pair of turntables, 2 straight-arm techniques, and an echo box, and me and ODB would make demos in the house. And by the time I was 14, I just knew that this is what I want to do for my life. And I just started praying and hoping that one day I could make a record or make somebody else hear my music. And, met Funky President Mel Quan, who a lot of people don't know Mel Quan. Mel Quan had a record label called Jamaica Records. And he had a group called The Vine Force. Me and the RZA both became signed to Jamaica Records. He was our manager, the president of the record company. His father was a Brooklyn businessman who wasn't into music but invested money into his son's dream. Now, Mel Quan got a history that a lot of people don't know about also. He was down with Just Ice, Red Alert, the whole Bronx movement, King's Son, from when hip-hop was first growing out there. And his love for the music enticed his father to invest money into him to get a record company and a management company. And I started making demos for him. By the time I was 17, I think we went down to Tommy Boy Records and recorded a song called Oh We Love You, Rakim. By the time I was 18, the record was released. And that led on to me getting involved with the industry. And as I got involved with the industry, I seen some good things and some bad things. Being a kid from Brooklyn, from the hood, I had my own mentality about things. But, the industry wasn't raw. You know what I mean? It was a lot of powdery things going on. And there was cookie cutting the music, for instance. MC Hammer probably was the biggest artist at the time. And Young MC and Will Smith and this, Vanilla Ice and the Pretty Boy thing was going on. And so I remember giving Tommy Boy a whole album of hardcore lyrics, Staten Island, Brooklyn style. And they was like, no, we like the song, Oh, We Love You, Rakim. We think girls are like you. You know what I mean? And so when that record came out, it gave me a buzz in the industry. I got a chance to meet some good people, travel to a few cities because, we went down to Texas, actually, and I met Will Strickland back, that was like 91, right?
Yeah.
Met Will Strickland in 91 down in Texas. Things didn't go too well. Being a street kid, I got involved with street crime and wound up, facing some penalties. And it was the day when I went to trial for some crime I committed. I was proven not guilty because of self-defense. And my mother looked me in my eye and said, boy, this is your second chance. And I took that second chance seriously. I went immediately, stopped doing negativity, formed the company, went back to Melquan and his lawyer, Mr. Bill Warren. I had about $10,000 saved up. I was like, yo, I want to start my own record label. I got some good guys I know, and I want to do my own thing like Melquan was doing. And we formed Wu-Tang Production. And from that point on, son, because, you know, the rest is history, yo.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about that history and how we met and everything, because it's a funny thing. I remember the promotions director at Tommy Boy at the time was a dude, Albie Ragusa. And he was calling me about this record. I was doing college radio at Rice University in Houston, Texas. And he's like, yo, what's up with you think we can get a show down there for Rakim? I mean, how's it going? I'm like, it's playing a lot on college radio, community radio, commercial radio. You know how it was at commercial radio at the time. He's like, you know what? Let me see what I can do. I'm gonna get him a show down here. Get him a show. And I don't know who, I'm thinking about Wu-Tang when Erskine Isaac booked y'all that time.
What was the DJ name on the radio? The radio station was called The Box also.
Yeah, the commercial radio station, yeah.
What's that guy named? Danny something, man.
Oh, you talking about Hurricane Dave?
Not Hurricane Dave. He had a name like Bruce Wayne or something like that. Anyway, I remember, but I definitely remember coming to Texas for the first time and getting a chance to do that song, and we kind of connected back.
Yeah, but the crazy part was, right, the dude comes down for a show, and he does one song. We did that song for 7 minutes. We did Oh We Love You, Rakim. We brought all kinds of girls up on the stage and just like laid it out. And after the show, we're sitting back, right? And you're talking about like all this stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to, Tommy Boy, don't hear it. I got some ideas. You know, and we exchanged numbers or whatever. And about a year and a half later, I'm getting ready for my radio show. And I got this big box. You know how, I don't know if some of y'all remember records in 12 inches, but 12 inches used to come in a box of 30. I got this box and I open it up and I see this record. It says Wu-Tang Records and it's all like this yellow, green, brown looking label. I'm like, this looks like some Fushnik and shit. I'm about to throw all this out. Because I hadn't remembered the conversation we had, right? But then at the bottom of the label, and if any of y'all had an original 12-inch, not the loud reissue, I'm talking about the original 12-inch that they put out, at the bottom it says, for more information, call Prince Rakim, something, Staten Island, New York. I'm like, nah, this ain't the same dude. But on a whim, I make a phone call. Peace.
What up, yo?
I'm in the lab. Who this? You know? And we start talking or whatever, and we reconnect. He's like, yo, you got the records? Yo, before I even had listened to the record, I had already agreed, like, yo, what I wanted to help out with, the whole nine. And this is on some real, like, kind of family shit in the sense that I didn't go, all right, well, before I help you, dog, I need $1,000. I need you to send me on a trip. I need you to get me some new Timberlands, boom, 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 whatever. Right. It was just like, okay, I'm going to look out. I haven't even heard it. He's like, yo, we're trying to spread the word, let people know. And I said, well, maybe, you know, I know somebody who writes for this trade, and I think it's a good way for the other industry people to get to know you right off. Let me call my man, Kelly Wu from the Gavin Report. He was the rap editor at Gavin. We called Kelly. We were on the phone for a little bit. And next thing you know, we set up the whole promotions thing with the street team stuff. We got my man Jason was doing it in Detroit and Chicago, Jason Staten. Yep. And Kelly and them were going to do it on the West Coast. I was doing it in the Southwest and Southeast.
And you know what else, too? It's like back then, in order to get your name on a playlist in the Gavin, it has to be at least 2 DJs playing it.
Right.
So Will was one DJ that was playing it, but there was no other DJ that was playing it. And it was one guy at the station PRB in South Jersey named G. I think his name was Greg Provis, his real name. And G was also spinning the record. He fell in love with it, you know what I mean? And when G was playing it and you was playing it, that was the 2 DJs.
And that's when they got it charted.
Yeah, and it got charted, yo. And I was real ecstatic about that, though. You know what I mean? I was real. One thing, like Will pointed out, it wasn't about me giving him no money or nothing. It was more like out of respect of men, first of all, and respect for hip hop. And I think that's something that nowadays you're not going to find that. Yeah. I mean, it's a slim chance in our industry that you're going to get somebody to support you based on you. You know what I mean? It's easy to support somebody based on money, based on favors. You know what I mean? But to support somebody based on, yo, this dude's cool, man, straight shooter, man, that's respect. And I want to thank you right now for that, real, on the real.
No, that's where it came from. You know, on the strength. It's ill because, like I said, I hadn't listened to the record. So I didn't know it could have been whatever, right? But because of the conversation we had when you first came down, because of the relationship that we were starting to build, because it was just from an honest place, and I think KRS touched on this, when you give value to something, and you give value to somebody who treated you fairly, it's only right that you do the same in return, right? And that ends up in, you know, you become invaluable to one another. And I think that once all of this happened, you know, Protect Your Neck started blowing up and people started feeling it and the whole loud thing with Rifkin. I remember coming out to LA for an album release and one of his people that worked for him picked me up at the airport and he's like, yo, you made the Wu-Tang album. You was on the Wu-Tang. I'm like, dog, I ain't gonna record with them. What are you talking about? So some pops the tape in. We drive in the studio and we're listening to the song. Woo, Tiger Style. Woo, Tiger Style. And at the end of the song, you're giving shouts. And at the end of the song, and this is what tells you something about certain people. Like, I didn't call him and say, yo, give me a shout out on the record, blah, 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 give these people. It's a courtesy that he remembered the people who tried to help them without any agenda, without any, it was just about loving this music, right? At the end of the song, it goes, peace to Kelly Wu from the Gavin, Will Strickland, Jason Staten, true, true. Yo, I had to stop the car. I was like, dog, stop the car. Just keep playing it over and over again because I was gassed. I mean, Protect Your Neck was on fire. The album was coming out. I was like, wow, man, like to be immortalized and be a part of something that eventually became this huge movement, but to be a part of it based on respect and on love and what Bambaataa and everybody else that came before us talked about, you know, peace, love, unity, and having fun. This was about some real kind of respect thing for what this was.
And that's how I felt when I said it. I was like, you know, thinking to myself, like, yo, I wanted to, you know, to thank, because I never had a chance to thank you back then or really, but I was like, yo, certain people who helped me out when I'm doing this, you know what I mean? And so I shouted them out. Yo, they part of this movement too, you know what I mean? And I think that's something else that we don't, you know, get out of hip-hop no more, you know what I mean? It's like people don't give back or give respect or give homage to, you know, none of us got here by ourselves, you know what I mean? Of course, the music has definitely got to be good music and it got to be something that inspires the fans and affects the fans, but also it has to be an outlet and a unit of people that's allowing the fans to hear it. You know, as we come up here right now to CNW up here, and, you know, they put this big festival on, this big conference on for people to come talk to y'all, you know, Neil invests his time and his energy for us to come and speak and share our knowledge with y'all. That's him supporting this music. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's a very positive thing. And I'm proud and glad, you know what I mean, that I'm a part of it like this and I'm here like that and that, you know, y'all come out to listen to us kick it and talk like this. I really respect it, yo. You know what I mean? I really respect it, man.
No doubt. Y'all give it up. Yo, you know what, though? Let's get into the idea of Wu-Tang. Like, Wu-Tang was more than just a group. It's more than just a record. It's more than just, this thing is an idea. And we want to get to the root of how you came up with the idea for Wu-Tang and then going to Loud and signing and then changing the way the business was done at the time with how y'all set up your label deals because Rifkin wanted to sign everybody, right? So go a little bit into that and like the idea of Wu-Tang, like where it came from and what's the strength behind it.
Well, the idea of Wu-Tang, you know, I'm a big kung fu movie lover, martial art. I read a lot of martial art books and principles. And Wu-Tang was a movie called Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, and that was like one of the flyest kung fu flicks out. And so in my neighborhood, certain things that was fly, we'd be like, yo, that's some Wu-Tang shit, yo. Or then we start naming our beer, like Valentine L was called Shaolin, Old English was called Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? Right. But me being more of a studious person and always deeper to study, I started really researching what it meant, you know what I mean? And Wu-Tang is an internal martial art, you know what I mean? And Wu-Tang was also the best sports style. And as an MC, our tongue is our sports. And I said to myself, there's no other ill MCs that I've met than the crew that I know right here on Staten Island. You know what I'm saying? So we the Wu-Tang. Our style is Wu-Tang. We'll go out there and chop anybody heads off when it comes to battling on the mic. You know what I mean? It was more of a sport mentality. And by taking that mentality and applying it to our lyrics and applying the culture and the philosophy that the Asian culture provided, because in America, let me give y'all a little history also. In America, you know, when you're growing up, you don't really see a lot of history that predates slavery when it comes to the black man or any man. You know,
well, you know how that goes. You get the history book, and it said you came over to Jamestown, Virginia, 1619. Abraham Lincoln freed you. Martin Luther King got shot. The end. That's it.
So you don't really get that true side of history. And even in their films, you know, I was a big Hercules and Zeus fan and all that. But even that's a whole different Western type of culture. When I saw some of the Asian films and saw their side of history and realized, you know, the Shaolin Temple was burnt down by the Manchus and the people was going through struggles and the government was oppressing them and they were trying to rise up and put the righteous people back in government, that all inspired my heart and my life as well because I couldn't see that from our culture. And so I became delved into their culture. And as time went on, I realized that all these cultures stem from the same culture, you know what I mean? But that was the mental foundation of Wu-Tang. Then also being gritty from the hood, witty, unpredictable talent and natural game, and having the wisdom of the universe.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Explain to them what you just said right now, because I know a lot caught it, but explain to them witty, unpredictable.
Yeah, the W for Wu was first for witty. I mean, your lyrics got to be witty. Your style got to be unpredictable. That's Wu. Your talent got to be there. And you got to have natural game. And game is like, yo, when you're able to walk anywhere, this is how I was in New York, this is how my crew was in New York, son. We could go anywhere, you know, go to Burger King and just go in there, see a girl behind the counter and be like, yo, mama, let me get the fries, let me get the chicken sandwich, let me get the juice, and that's what it is. And walk out with a meal, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's that natural game, you know what I mean? That's why you see people like Method Man, you know, being, you know, all of us have a certain kind of charisma and style about us. That's that game, you know what I mean? And you got to have game, you know what I mean? Like they say, even though no matter what you do. So that's how we got the what they call the acronyms of Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? Just like cash rule everything around me. Yeah, cream, get the money. Bong, bong. And yo, and in those days, you know, we was doing everything like that. Anything we had many words like that. Like for instance, we had a thing, like for the girls in the hood, we call her Miss Thang, like Thang, Thang. That hoe ain't no good. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, we used to make those up all day, is, you know what I mean, wabba.
I mean, but you hear that in the lyrics. If you really do the knowledge to the lyrics and you listen to the albums and whatever, you hear that, right? But I guess just to continue, like, you know, you had the idea, the single was out, and I think it's really important to explain because you and your cousin, the Genius, a.k.a. the RZA, had already been in the sport. He was signed to Cold Chillin'. They tried to make him the second Big Daddy Kane with Girl Come Do Me. A lot of people don't know. If you get a chance to YouTube that video, Girl Come Do Me, it's a dude that's the RZA's dancer in there. If anybody can tell me the answer to that, you get stats right now. Anybody remember the dancer in there? Who? Very good. See? That's people that notice. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Respect.
ODB was the dancer in that video, man. That's history right there. That's love. But
well, now that you bring that up, though, it's like, you know, that's another thing that inspired me to do what I had to do. The RZA to me was, first of all, he's my teacher, you know what I mean? And I thought that he was the best MC in the whole world. I think nobody could touch him, you know what I mean? That's how I felt about him. And when his album came out on Cold Chillin' and they put this, the whole album was done at first. And then they said, well, we need a single. You know what I mean? He had songs like Life of a Drug Dealer, Drama, and all these great songs. But they said, we need a single. So they went and got a producer named Jesse West, who's a good producer. Yeah. And they produced this song, Girl Come Do Me, and this becomes his first single. But it didn't reflect the music that he was doing. I mean, most of the album was produced by Easy Mo B. You know, Easy Mo B is a hip-hop legend. You know what I mean? And then also how they was marketing them. It was the same situation with me or Tommy Boy. You know, I gave them songs like RZA, you know what I'm saying? You know, Protect Your Dome before it was Protect Your Neck and things like that. And they chose Oh We Love You, Rakim. So the industry kind of was guiding the artists to the way they wanted the music to be instead of letting the music come out freely. And so I was like, yo, I got to start my own record company, do it myself, and say what we want to say and be free in what you express. And that's what made me form Wu-Tang Records. You know what I mean? And I went, remember the first person I asked to sign was Method Man, actually. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, Shaquan, I'm about to do this record thing, man, but we ain't gonna never have to sell drugs again. You know, because we all from the streets, and we was doing a lot of street crime and things I'm not proud to talk about anymore, you know what I mean? And I was like, yo, we ain't gonna have to do that no more. I promise you, yo, I promise. Just give me 5 years. I got it right. I got the vision in my head. I used to drive around this old red Caravan, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, always driving to Park Hill, then going to Brooklyn and telling Dirty. And RZA was a bike messenger at the time. You know, he even had a record on Cold Chillin' that wasn't successful. Now he's back to riding bikes, delivering messages. And I'm like, yo, man, nah, man, we the illest. We the dopest. I'm telling you, I went through, I know we could do it. And with that spirit of feeling confident about yourself, and with the knowledge that I gained from Tommy Boy and from Cold Chillin', you know, from how the record industry was working and how people was, you know, how communication, how you send your records out. Also a guy named Mike McDonald, who was our first manager, and Sincere Thompson. We gotta respect Sincere Thompson also. You know, we used to go in the old days. You know, we used to go up to record labels like Island Records with boxes of Protect Your Neck, right? And I'm gonna admit this to the people and shit, but it shows you how desperate and how sincere things gotta be for things to work. We go up to Island Records with boxes of Protect Your Neck, and use their mail room and mail it out. You know what I mean? Because we couldn't afford to mail that shit out. You know what I mean? And then some people would actually risk their jobs because they felt like some of the songs they were sending out wasn't reflecting the music.
Right.
And by doing that, that allowed this record to get to a lot of people's hands. And when DJs got it, it was like, yo, this is some real hip-hop shit, yo.
Yeah, Sincere Thompson was really serious about sending those records out because we were working for him at the time in the street team. But just in talking about, like, because you had gotten basically beaten by the system the first time out and you were determined for yourself that was never going to happen again, you got your crew together, you got your business plan, you planned your work so you could work your plan, landed at Loud Records.
Loud Records.
And I think the key, what I want to really stress today is because you have been through it before, and you know, everybody get these dreams of pie in the sky. Let me get $1 million advance. Let me get a house with my mother. Let me get a bunch of jewels. Let me get a car. Because you have been through it already, tell them about the deal you signed with Loud.
Yeah, well, being through the industry already and experience is the best teacher, of course. I signed the deal with Loud. First of all, there wasn't a lot of money.
Right.
We signed, for the Wu-Tang first album, the budget was $50,000 for that album, Into the 36 Chambers. And we actually only spent $36,000. But the whole thing was Loud, you know, and the record labels, they were trying to sign the whole group as one unit. And I'm saying to myself, yo, that's not enough money to feed all of us, yo. We need to be in the industry. We need to be fed from more than one source. And also, to be straight blunt honest, Will, I wanted to infiltrate the industry. I wanted the industry to work for me and to work for my sound and to work for hip-hop. So I made a deal with Steve Rifkin that allowed him to invest, you know, into Wu-Tang Clan, but I could take the solo artists to different labels around the industry. And Elektra was already looking for ODB already, you know what I mean? Def Jam wanted ODB and they wanted Method Man. And I'm gonna give y'all a little story about that real quick. You know, when Method Man signed to Def Jam, they wanted ODB and Method Man. And ODB wanted to go to Def Jam, but Elektra wanted ODB. And I'm telling ODB, like, yo, nah, God, I don't want to put both of y'all on the same label, man. We trying to have your record. If you go on the same label, your record won't come out till 2 years later, yo. If you join Elektra, he joins Def Jam, and you know, and we get the next one, we get to another label. We can have all these labels who are at war with each other now having a musical synergy, working towards the same cause without even knowing it. They won't even know what they're doing. He said, nah, man, I want to go to Def Jam. You know what I mean? And we got to a fight in the subway station over this shit, yo. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, when the Abbott gets his full aggression on, when I get that iron hand, you know what I mean? Nobody don't challenge that, you know what I'm saying? Right. And he brought that fire out of me and shit. He was like, you know what? All right, God, you got it. And shit, you know what I mean? And he goes to Elektra. Method Man goes to Def Jam. A couple of months later, Geffen Records comes up, you know what I mean? And they say, yo, we interested in, the RZA. Now we got him on the RZA on Geffen. Then you got Island Records with John Baker. with the Gravedigger group. They over there, you know what I'm saying? So what happened is now you have major labels who are in competition with each other, now working for the same cause without being aware of it. And now hip-hop is getting a chance to get a new breed of energy that was lacking. And I think, you know, and I'll say this, you know, and I'm saying this out of disrespect. I think before Wu-Tang, you couldn't find that many MCs that was really straight from the projects, ex-felons who would never got a job, life would have been over. You know, 7 out of 9 of us are high school dropouts, you know what I mean? And basically the ones that society would write off as dead or in jail by 25. You understand? So we was able to beat that statistic, bring the real people and the real faces into the music industry, the people that was feeling it and living it, you know what I mean? And change the game. And I'll never forget, in 1995, when Geffen Records, Def Jam Records, Elektra Records, and Loud Records all teamed together and put up portions of money, 25% apiece, to build this Wu-Tang family tree retail item, right, and put it in the stores. And that month that they did that, every album that we put out doubled in sales. And everybody in the industry doubled in their profit by coming together. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's ever happened again, but it did happen. It was what I want to happen. And that it was like now you got Leor and Steve Rifkin, who could have been competitive enemies, now having to work together. Wendy Goldstein having to work together. You know what I'm saying? John Baker having to work together. And that was one of my goals. And then hip-hop flourished because we got great albums like Liquid Swords, Only Built for Cuban Links, Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version, and Into the 36 Chambers, all growing, you know what I mean? So, you know, that was a plan, yo, and I'm glad that it lived out.
It just, you know, it speaks to having that plan and then being willing to execute that and hold firm to it, right? But what you ended up doing is having what KRS was talking about earlier, the industry coming to you, right? Instead of you going to it and asking for help from it, they were coming to you, right? And for ideas and everything. And you took that idea of Wu-Tang and just the marketing of the logo, the idea, the everything. I mean, you know, if people really think about it, and this is no disrespect to Carl Kanai, Cross Colors, and none of that other stuff, but if you think about Wu-Tang and all the merchandise that was created as a result, all the ideas from, you know, the Wu Wales, the Wu Tams, everything. Like, just
so
talk
much.
about how you took that logo, that idea, and were able to market that and make it bigger than records, too.
Right. I don't like to be egotistic when it comes to things, you know what I mean? I'm very humble, you know what I mean? But if you do check the history of Wu-Tang and check the history of the urban industry, that's such a billion-dollar industry now, you know what I mean? Let's take a shoe like Wallaby. Wallabies was costing $50, you know what I mean? And it wasn't even in every store. You couldn't even find them. You had to go find them in Canal Street or get a bootleg one because nobody wasn't buying Wallabies no more. They was kind of played out, you know what I mean? But we love Wallabies. Wu-Tang, Staten Islanders, we love Wallabies. And then Ghostface used to take his Wallaby and dye the color, change the brown ones to 2 colors or make colors the Wallabies never made before. Never made, you know what I mean? And then years later, those colors are valuable to the consumers. And Wallaby Clarks have probably made hundreds of millions of dollars based on this idea that we had. You know what I mean? Clothing, you know, you think about Kanai, back then they had Pelly, Mecca, and all these different clothing lines. You know, my man Power, who was one of the Wu-Tang executives, you know, he basically schooled a lot of them on what to do and how to be your own man and all that. The difference between them and us, I think, why a lot of things excelled, why they excelled was we was from the hood and we did not want to partner up with corporate America at that time. I think if people ask me, yo, you ever think you made any mistakes over the years? I think one error that I could have made was the idea that I could do it all by myself. You know what I mean? In a capitalist society, it takes cooperation, which leads to the word corporation. If you want to really get an idea to the masses, you know what I mean? You know, you can have $1 million and you say, yo, I got a store, I'm gonna get $1 million and I'm gonna do this. But you competing against somebody who has $100 million. So therefore, you're not gonna get that mass growth. And that's what happened to Wu Wear, actually. I'll never forget this. In 1996, the guys who was manufacturing for us, they came to us. They was like, yo, we want to we want 50% of the company. We got this whole big line. The Wu-Wear leathers was selling out crazy. There's like, we want to partner up with your company. And my man Power was like, nah, man, we don't need y'all. We don't need y'all, man. Get the fuck out my face, actually. He's a real aggressive guy, you know what I mean? We wound up breaking ties with them. And that Wu-Wear, they just took off the Wu and picked Rocker. You know what I'm saying? And that was the birth of Rocker Wear. The same two guys who was doing this, Alex and them. But the thing that we didn't recognize was that Jay-Z recognized, I would say, was, I don't need the whole thing for myself. I'll take a piece of this, a piece of this, a piece of that, and have a corporation, you know what I mean? And that's something I would like to share with y'all in this music industry and these people in this room. Start everything by yourself. Become the foundator and the foundation to what you do. But if you want to grow to the masses and you want to see your Starbucks on every corner, you know what I mean? You have to be part of a powerful corporation that already exists, that already has an outlet, you know what I mean? That was one little thing that we didn't do, you know what I mean? That I don't regret, but I think that kind of slowed things down.
Yeah, well, it definitely didn't slow things down on the music side. I mean, Ghost got signed to Epic. I was at Epic at the time, actually, because when they brought me up to RCA, I was supposed to be working the record, but Rifkin and Bob Jameson got into a beef. Rifkin was like, nah, no more. So I could have been stealing money at RCA. I go over to Epic. I get the Ghostface album. And just to understand, like, history and how much, like I said, you've influenced my life in a whole bunch of different ways, right? But I get to Epic, and we got the Ghostface album. They had spent like $1 million almost on Ghost album. They put out 3 singles, 3 videos. There was no plan. They didn't know what to do with it. So I get over there, and they say to me, we're not going to give you another video. We're not going to give you another single. Reinvigorate the album. Like, how are we going to sell these records? And something that made me think about the idea that I was going to use to try and do it was you talking to me about how y'all took the money y'all had, and instead of letting Billy Hunter or Billy Woodruff or Paul Hunter or somebody shoot y'all videos, y'all threw money in together, and y'all shot y'all first 2 videos yourselves, right? They shot Protect Your Neck, and you shot Method Man with your own money. The money they got in their advance, y'all shot that, right? So in thinking about that, like, how can I figure out how to do this, right? Well, I got to empower myself without having nothing, right? And I put my job on the line. I had just negotiated a ridiculous deal to go over to Epic, like a lot of money. And I put my job on the line, and I said, and because I believed. It goes back to that day that I opened up that box of records. I believed in the product. So I said, look, I'm going to go above my boss's heads. I'm going to go above all these people's heads. I'm going to go to Tommy Mottola and Dave Glue and say, I need to get $250,000, and I need to talk to somebody about this thing called the internet. And what we wanted to do was this thing. It was ended up being the first ever online concert in black music history with Ghost, Ray, and Cap at 88hiphop.com. It doesn't seem like a big thing in 2007, 2008. But where the internet was then, it was another Wu-Tang explosion, because after that, everybody else started doing it, right? So in knowing that you've produced all these albums and everything and talking about next steps, you got involved with Forrest Whitaker. You made Ghost Dog. Everybody knows and saw you in American Gangster. Y'all called him an American Gangster? If you didn't, the DVD is out right now. Go get it. But let's talk about, we're not going to get into no issues with members and none of that. We're going to talk about the future and about growing. Where's the ruler Zigzag Zigala going right now with his career?
Well, I just look for different ways to express my artistic nature. I'm quite sure like a lot of us in here do. Whether we express our artistic nature through our business endeavors or through entertaining others, you know what I mean? Like you said, you could catch me in films like American Gangster. They got a new one coming out called Repossession Mambo with Forrest Whitaker and Jude Law that we filmed right here in Toronto. I was up here. I did a movie here last year with y'all. My aspirations, my aspirations is to become a famous movie director. You know what I mean? Same way I produce hip-hop albums, I always felt the way I produced my albums was very cinematic. You put the Wu-Tang album in, or you put the Cuban Link album in, or Liquid Sports, it's like you're getting an audio movie. I want to take that talent and now bring it to the visual level. I want to become a movie director. And I've studied you know, I just want to say this to y'all people out here, to the young and old people out here. Don't never enter nothing without studying it. You know what I mean? You know, I didn't join hip-hop out of the fly of a night. It took me 10, 15 years to be noticed in hip-hop, you know what I mean, by me studying it and doing it. You know, I didn't become a movie composer. When you see composing movies like Kill Bill, Blade Trinity, Soul Plane, and a dozen more, that didn't come by not studying. I went and studied Henry Mancini, you know what I mean? I went and studied classical music, you know what I mean? And as a movie director, I've been studying under John Woo since '95. I took 2 years to study with him. Then I hooked up with Jim Jarmusch, a couple of years with him. And my mentor, who I call my movie Sifu, you know what I mean, my Shifu, you know what I mean, is Mr. Tarantino. And I've been under his study for, this is the 6th year now. And it was just last month, for the first time, that he looked me in my eye and said, Bobby, you're ready. You know what I mean? So I will be directing films, and I will put hip-hop on the silver screen.
Yo, you know, we can sit up here and build all day, but I think it's important that with the few minutes we have left, we open up the floor to questions. We'll acknowledge you by show of hands, please. If you can stand up, and if everybody can honor the person that's asking a question like you've honored us today here, we really respect that. Yes, sir, right here.
Relationship with Old Dirty Bastard and how it affected your music and your production.
Well, ODB, you know, we grew up together from the age of 6, you know what I mean, running around. He's my blood cousin. I did a lot of music with him. Really, his house, I would say his household was the house, because my family was more poor than his family. My family was welfare, his family had jobs. But his house was the house I would go to and hear music at. You know what I mean? His family had the biggest record collection. I mean, so I would go over his house and hear all these different musics, and I think those, that influenced me, you know what I mean? And also, ODB was like, you know, he was my student, first of all, you know what I mean? And he was like how you say Galactus and Silver Surfer, some shit like that. He was like Silver Surfer, yo, you know what I mean? He was really one of the most powerful students that I've had, and him, he just helped me express myself in a way that nobody ever could, you know what I mean? He showed me freedom, true freedom of the mind, spirit, and body, and of your talent. So now that we lost him in the physical, you know what I'm saying, his lesson still remains with me, you know what I mean? And what I'm doing nowadays is, you know, if you hear my new Bobby Digital album that comes out in June, you'll see the inspiration of ODB in my music. You'll see it in myself. If you come watch me tomorrow on stage and shit, you'll see that some things that I wouldn't do before because I was the RZA or because I had to be kind of held back, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? That's what he taught all of us, yo. He's like, yo, be free. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Back, all right.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about the Cure.
Yeah, I know the Cure's, I mean, for those who are fans of the RZA and fans of my lyrical approach, the Cure's an album I've been promising for a long time, you know what I mean? And I still got it in the works, and I've decided that, you know, I'm going to put it out one day, you know what I mean? It probably will be my last album I put out because it's a, you know, very spiritual type of thing, but I do have it. The lyrics are intense, and I'm quite sure when you get a hold of it, it's like the song on the 8 Diagram album, Sunlight and Sun Shower. There's certain songs, when you listen to them, yo, you hear it and you learn from it. You learn about mathematics, you learn about God, Jesus, history, you know what I mean? And that's another thing that Wu-Tang was able to do, is spread knowledge and spread culture. And the Cure is all about that. But my next album that's coming out is Bobby Digital, and it will be out in June on Koch Records.
Yo, on behalf of Peace Magazine, Rogers Music Store, CMW, and the Urban Music Association of Canada, once again, give it up for the RZA.
Respect. Thank you, Canada.
Thank you, God.